Good evening, everyone. I would just ask if everyone could please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. You can have a seat. Good evening and welcome to the Tuckahoe Police Department's annual award ceremony, where we honor the men and women of this department that went above and beyond to exhibit diligence, intuition, and skill during the performance of their routine duties in 2021 and 2022. There is no better time to acknowledge the efforts of our police officers than that of Police Week, a time to reflect and appreciate the services provided by police officers in Tuckahoe and across this nation, and the risks that each and every one of them take when putting on the uniform. It's been 2 years since we hosted our last award ceremony. Since then, it appears we have thankfully seen the last stages of a global health pandemic. We've adjusted and conformed to law changes that stem from police reform legislation, and unfortunately, we continue to face the challenges and backlash that stem from police brutality cases viewed across the country. Law enforcement will continue to be scrutinized, analyzed, and dissected more than any other profession in the entire world. Nevertheless, police officers like the ones that stand before you this evening are dedicated to protecting the citizens they serve, and more importantly, displaying the professionalism and integrity this uniform expects and deserves. It is with great appreciation and honor that Chief Costanzo, Lieutenant Rhoda, and myself stand before you tonight to highlight the fine work of our officers and share their accolades with friends, family, and the Tuckahoe community. This evening, the Tuckahoe Police Department will recognize and commend the performance of officers based on the following categories and criteria. These events have been reviewed and voted on by an awards committee of their peers and supervisors. The Exceptional Merit Award, the Meritorious Police Duty Award, Excellent Police Duty Certificate, the Certificate of Commendation, and the Officer Recognition Award, as well as the Unit Citation. Before we get started, I'd like to ask Chief Costanzo to come forward and say a few words.
Thank you, Lieutenant, and welcome to our award ceremony. I want to particularly welcome all the families that are here tonight. I'd like to welcome some of our retired members, our mayor and village board, who are so supportive of us, and all of our guests. I'd also like to acknowledge Deputy Commissioner John Rowland from the White Plains Department of Public Safety, who's here tonight. He's not here to steal anybody, so we let him in. This is Police Week. We started our ceremonies on Saturday morning with a nice tribute to our deceased members of the department and a special acknowledgement of Sergeant Alfred Fernandez, who passed away just a few months ago. Sergeant Fernandez served our department with distinction for about 21 years. Today is actually National Peace Officer Memorial Day, held in Washington, D.C. and celebrated throughout the country. Two members of the New York City Police Department who were enshrined on that monument this morning, Police Officer Wilbert Mora and Police Officer Jason Rivera, who end of watch was in January of 2022. We had a large contingent of members of our department who attended their funeral. It was so very sad to see these young and promising officers' lives end so tragically and way too soon. I want to read a passage of a letter of why Officer Jason Rivera became a police officer that was written to his commanding officer, and it was read at his funeral. And the passage is, "I realized how impactful my role as a police officer would be in this chaotic city. I know that sometimes something as small as helping a tourist with directions or helping a couple resolve an issue will put a smile on someone's face." This was a young officer, both officers, who really understood the real meaning of policing. It goes beyond making arrests and issuing citations. It's with the ability, knowing that if you help somebody, that you can change someone's life and you can make an impact. I'm very proud to say that I lead a group of individuals, men and women of the Tuckahoe Police Department, that understand that, who live that and perform their duties in such a manner every single day. So like these young officers whose lives were ended too quickly, and a great loss to law enforcement in general and the city of New York, we are blessed to have officers with that same kind of mentality who come to work every single day. And I appreciate that, and they should be recognized for that. Tonight is the next leg of our ceremonies. It's a good dovetail to honoring those who served before us, because now tonight we honor those who are presently serving, whose performance of duties is in line with special recognition for what they have done over the past 2 years. And you'll hear some accounts tonight of officers saving a life. You will hear an account of officers helping bringing a life into the world. You will hear stories through prowess and perseverance, how our officers solved crimes, and in one instance brought closure to a family who lost a loved one. You will see officers of the last 2 years, our officers of the year, who received special recognition. And when you hear their stories and you learn about them, you will know that they are part of a very promising future of the Tuckahoe Police Department. So tonight's recognition is for extraordinary acts. But what is truly extraordinary about our department is their commitment to our village, to our citizens, how they treat people with dignity and respect every single day, and who measure their accomplishments not necessarily by the ribbons that are on their chest, but on the acknowledgments of our people every single day for a job well done. So I'm proud of this group, and I'm very thankful to lead such a great group of young men and women. So congratulations.
Okay, I'd like to call up Officer Peter Costa, Officer Michael Gutman, and Detective Stephen Leone. In the early morning hours of March 22nd, 2021, a female walked into the Tuckahoe Police Department and stated she believed she was a victim of sexual assault. Officer Costa began to interview the victim and understand the circumstances of the sexual encounter. She provided details of her encounter with the suspected assailant. Officer Costa, Officer Gutman contacted Detective Andrea Pinto, began taking the necessary steps to maintain the integrity of a sexual assault investigation. Officer Costa drove the victim to the Westchester Medical Center and coordinated a medical evaluation with a forensic acute care team nurse. Detective Pinto responded to the medical center to interview the victim and collect evidence such as clothing and possible DNA. Following the medical evaluation, Detectives Pinto, Leone, and Sergeant Batista were tasked with interviewing the individuals present the night of the sexual assault. They were able to piece together a timeline of the event and eventually retrieve building surveillance to corroborate the allegations. A search warrant was prepared with the district attorney's office. Detectives were able to successfully interrogate the male, obtaining graphic details of the sexual encounter, which directly correlated with the collected evidence. Detectives searched the suspect's home and retrieved evidence in the way of clothing and bedding that would offer DNA and further substantiate the sexual assault. For their exceptional teamwork and performance within a delicate and sensitive circumstance, Officers Peter Costa, Michael Gutman, and Detectives Andrea Pinto, Detective Stephen Leone, and Detective Sergeant Abelardo Batista are awarded the Department's Excellent Police Duty Award. Congratulations. like to quickly acknowledge Detective Andrea Pinto, retired, who was a part of that actual incident. I'd now like to call up Detective Ashley DeCito and Officer Zach Leone, who is no longer with us. On May 15th, 2021, at approximately 12:15 p.m., our agency began receiving 911 calls reporting a male with a baseball bat who was actively smashing police vehicles parked alongside police headquarters. Detective DeCito and Officer Leone were detailed to respond. The desk officer was able to pull up building surveillance cameras confirming the mischief taking place and was able to identify the party involved. Officers arrived on scene and observed the male fleeing. However, the bat was thrown to the ground. Due to the known identity of the individual involved, there was a history of violent behavior against police. With the assistance of Bronxville Police Department, Detective DeCito and Officer Leone followed the suspect to a safer, less congested location in the village in order to stop him and engage in conversation. While maintaining a safe distance, officers took time to de-escalate the situation with the goal to refrain from physical encounter and a greater use of force. After some rapport building, officers on scene were able to take the male into custody and avoid a much larger confrontation. For their diligent and compassionate performance addressing a mental crisis situation, Officer Zach Leone and Detective Ashley DeCito are awarded the department's Excellent Police Duty Award. Congratulations. I'd like to call up Sergeant Aubrey, Sergeant Kennedy, and Officer Solano. On May 27, 2021, at approximately 11:45 p.m., the Tuckahoe Police Department desk received a frantic 911 call from a resident on Underhill Street stating someone just kicked in their front door and are believed to be inside their home. Sergeant Kennedy, Sergeant Aubrey, and Officer Solano were dispatched and forming a perimeter outside of the residence. Sergeant Kennedy reported observing two males walking through the backyard of a home 2 houses west of the break-in location. The males were quickly detained while officers determined the ongoing circumstances of the call and to see if they had any involvement. The interior of the two-family residence was searched by officers and found to be clear of any intruders. Broken glass was shattered in throughout the entryway, and a partial footprint could be seen on the front door of the two-family home. Officers located two young children and their mother who were extremely frightened and locked in an upstairs bedroom to hide. Upon interviewing the family, collectively, they were able to describe some of the clothing that matched one of the individuals detained outside. A show-up would be conducted shortly after, and the victim confidently identified one of the males outside with Sergeant Kennedy. Detectives were called in to further investigate the scene and interview the men believed to be the suspects. Both individuals would continue to say they were innocent and were simply walking to a party nearby. Detectives Pinto and Detective Leone interrogated both men separately and found inconsistencies in their story. After reviewing Uber history found in a cell phone, they discovered a transportation drop-off at the scene of the crime just 1 hour prior. Both suspects were arrested and charged in the burglary. For their outstanding acts, intelligently performed, demonstrating special faithfulness and performance of duty, Sergeant Aubrey, Sergeant Kennedy, and Officer Solano are awarded the department's Excellent Police Duty Award. Congratulations. Unfortunately, Sergeant Aubrey is downstairs manning the desk, so he was unable to come upstairs, and Officer Solano had a family engagement, so he couldn't meet us on that call. I'd like to call up Officer Gutman. And Sergeant Harris, who was unable to attend this evening. On September 24th, 2021, at approximately 2 a.m., Sergeant Harris and Officer Gutman were dispatched to the Emmanuel A&E Church on Van Dusen Street on a report of a possible burglary. The caller on the phone stated she heard a loud noise like a door being kicked in, followed by glass shattering in the vicinity of the church. Upon arriving on scene and checking the perimeter of the church, officers observed the door ajar. Neighboring units from Bronxville would be requested to form a perimeter around the building. As Sergeant Harris and Officer Gutman began to make entry, a male bolted outside of a side door. Officers were in position to surround the male and give commands to drop to the ground. Although the suspect was initially uncooperative, officers on scene maintained a tactical and advantageous position, which eventually ended in the arrest of the subject, without any unnecessary use of force. For their acts and performance of routine police duties in an outstanding and efficient manner, Sergeant Harris and Officer Gutman are awarded the department's Excellent Police Duty Award. Congratulations. I'd like to call up Sergeant Pinto, Officer Piasta, Officer McCann, Sergeant Kennedy, and Officer Gutman. Squeeze in, boys. On November 24th, 2021, at approximately 7:45 p.m., the Tuckahoe Police Department desk received a call reporting a male may be breaking into parked vehicles in the area of Fairview Avenue in the Gentry apartment complex. Sergeant Pinto, Officer Piasta, and Officer McCann would be given a clothing description and would canvass the area. After some time had passed, Officer McCann observed a male walking down Fairview Avenue that could possibly fit the description from the caller. Officers began to interview the male and found inconsistencies in his story. As the investigation proceeded, the male changed his story and eventually admitted that he had entered a car, but it was that of a friend. Officers would perform a safety pat-down on scene, which would reveal a sunglass case containing hypodermic syringes and several bags of narcotics. The male would be placed under arrest. Upon a search engine to arrest, various stolen items would turn up, including driver's licenses, credit cards, and various blank checks. Following the arrest process of the male, it was determined there was an outstanding warrant from a local jurisdiction and he would be turned over for a further arraignment. Just a couple hours later, Sergeant Kennedy and Officer Gutman were working the midnight shift and were dispatched to the area of Westview Avenue for a suspicious male that appeared to be stealing a bicycle. The witness tried to approach the male as this was occurring, but he walked off prior to police arrival. Sergeant Kennedy and Officer Gutman would canvass the area. Sergeant Kennedy advised he located a male matching the clothing description on Wallace Street, exiting a parked vehicle. However, the man quickly ran behind some of the homes in a nearby area. Sergeant Kennedy immediately realized the suspect in question was the same male from earlier in the evening. Both officers remained vigilant and stayed in the area. And a short time later, the male was observed by Officer Gutman on Pleasant Place, and he was quickly able to detain him. The male had removed his outer garments now from what he was previously wearing. Sergeant Kennedy walked the general vicinity and eventually found the same clothing, including the jacket, which the suspect was previously wearing. Inside the jacket was additional stolen items taken from people's unlocked vehicles. The suspect was rearrested and charged for the additional criminal acts. For their collaborated effort and persistence, demonstrating special faithfulness and performance of duty, Sergeant Pinto, Sergeant Kennedy, Officer Piasta, and Officer McCann and Officer Gutman are awarded the department's Excellent Police Duty Award. Congratulations. All good? I'd like to call up Officer Daniel Coughlin and Officer Evan Piasta. On December 8th, 2021, at approximately 10:30 p.m., the Tuckahoe Police Department received a call for an activated commercial burglar alarm sounding at Angelina's Restaurant on Lake Avenue. P.O. Piasta and P.O. Coughlin were detailed to respond. Officers began to do a perimeter check of the establishment and found all doors locked and all the windows secured. While conducting the exterior check, a male could be seen inside. He acknowledged the officers and met them at a side door. He acknowledged the officers and met him at a side door. The inside audible was still sounding. The male didn't have any ID, but stated he was a family worker of the restaurant. Officers would ask him if he was going to turn off the sounding alarm, which he stated he was going to do, and the officers proceeded to follow him back inside the restaurant. While speaking with the male, officers Piasta and Coughlin noticed he was acting irrationally, and his story was inconsistent with the circumstances of the alarm activation. Officers observed a bulge from the man's jacket pocket and proceeded to conduct a pat-down for officer safety. Officers removed multiple pairs of sunglasses and 2 computer tablets used by the restaurant for ordering food. The male immediately began to become uncooperative and quickly became combative. Officer Coughlin and Officer Piasta gained control of the suspect as he tried to free himself from police officers. A brief scuffle ensued before he was cuffed and secured. Restaurant ownership was contacted and confirmed the male was never an employee of the restaurant, and he was indeed in possession of all the stolen property within the establishment. He was consequently charged with burglary. For their acts of outstanding police duty, intelligently performed, demonstrating special faithfulness and performance of duty, Officer Coughlin and Officer Piasta are awarded the department's Meritorious Police Duty Award. Congratulations. I'd like to call forward Officer Stephen McCann. On March 18th, 2022 at approximately 7 p.m., the Tuckahoe Police Department was monitoring the Westchester County Police radio frequency as their officers were in a foot pursuit along the Bronx River Parkway stemming from a stolen vehicle. 3 suspects had bailed out on the car, and the police were able to recover 1 firearm on scene. Police chased the males on foot and would detain 2 of the suspects in the vicinity of the Mount Vernon train station. However, the police lost sight of 1 suspect, and he was believed to have accessed the Metro North train station traveling north. Tuckahoe units were advised to monitor both the Tuckahoe and Crestwood train stations and were given a description of the suspect at large. Officer McCann was assigned to the Tuckahoe train station and would monitor incoming trains and passengers as they exited the train. A short time later, Officer McCann observed the male matching the description of the wanted person. Officer McCann remained out of sight as long as possible to gain a tactical advantage and allow himself the best opportunity to grab the individual. As the male approached, Officer McCann confronted him and gave him police commands. The male immediately attempted to flee. A short foot pursuit ensued, but Officer McCann was able to gain control of the suspect and take him into custody. The male was turned over to the Westchester County Police and charged in connection with the stolen vehicle and firearm. For his acts of performance of routine police duties in an outstanding and efficient manner, Officer Stephen McCann is awarded the department's Excellent Police Duty Award. Congratulations. I'd like to call forward Sergeant Vincent Pinto. Sergeant Pinto, by yourself. On March 26, 2022, at approximately 9:45 p.m., the Tuckahoe Police received a 911 call from the manager of the tap house reporting an employee had a severe leg laceration and was bleeding heavily. Tuckahoe units were dispatched, and Sergeant Pinto was the first officer to arrive on scene. Sergeant Pinto found the aided party laying inside the bathroom. Upon obtaining further information, it was determined the man had suffered a hemorrhage varicose vein on his ankle and was losing a significant amount of blood at a rapid rate. Sergeant Pinto assisted the aided and instructed him to lift his leg and maintain heavy pressure to the area. The male lost consciousness and hunched over. Sergeant Pinto quickly applied a tourniquet on the man's left leg, which would significantly reduce the blood loss. EMS would arrive on scene, and the aided party was rushed to a local hospital for treatment. For his exceptionally quick actions and performance within a medical emergency, Sergeant Pinto was awarded the department's Excellent Police Duty Award. Congratulations. We were just informed that the video recording system is down at the moment, so we're just going to take a 5-minute pause. If everyone could just hang out for a few minutes until our technician gives me the thumbs. Okay, I'm told our technology issue has been repaired and we are good to go. I'd like to call up Detective Stephen Leone and Officer Brian Madden. On June 2nd, 2022, at approximately 3:45 p.m., the Tuckahoe Police Department received a 911 call from a man residing on Sagamore Road stating he believed his wife was going into labor. Detective Leone and Officer Madden were dispatched along with fire and EMS. Tuckahoe officers rushed to the apartment building and were first on scene. Detective Leone confirmed the male was actively in labor and he could see the baby's head was already crowning. Officers used a pillow in position the mother in a way conducive to giving birth and to make her as comfortable as possible. Detective Leone and Officer Madden were on the bathroom floor with mom as she pushed and gave birth to a new baby girl. Tuckahoe officers carefully handed the baby to the arriving paramedics. For their acts of outstanding police work intelligently performed, demonstrating special faithfulness and performance of duty, Detective Leone and Officer Brian Madden are awarded the department's Meritorious Police Duty Award. Congratulations. Well done, Brian. Well done. I'd like to call up Detective Sergeant Chris Santiago, Detective Stephen Leone, and Detective Ashley Tecito. On June 17th, 2022, family of a Tuckahoe resident came before the police department to report that their father hadn't been seen or heard for a few days. Further, after checking the home, his personal items such as a wallet, keys, and eyeglasses were all present and accounted for. The Tuckahoe Police Detective Division was advised of the circumstances and would begin a preliminary steps for a missing persons case. Detectives would contact all local hospitals with negative results, and then canvass the surrounding area for businesses and residential homes that would offer any type of surveillance cameras. None of these steps would provide any immediate insight. Missing persons posters were hung by police and family throughout the community in hopes someone had seen the missing person. Due to the nature of the employment the missing person served and his dealings with foreign countries, family and friends were concerned the disappearance of the family member was related to his work and criminal in nature. Sergeant Santiago, Detective Leone, and Detective Tecito spent countless hours investigating all potential avenues that could lead to a better understanding of what transpired. Our department was assisted by the Westchester County Department of Public Services investigators as well as the FBI. Additionally, a crime scene forensics team processed the home to determine if there was any evidence to indicate foul play. None of these attempts would provide any answers. Detectives would eventually go back to all the video recordings and review them in the slowest speed frames possible. After an enormous amount of time, detectives believe they did observe a glimpse of the missing person traveling towards the Crestwood train station. A multi-agency grid search would be conducted, and the remains of the missing person was recovered. For their persistence, tenacity, and determination in performance of routine police duties in an outstanding and efficient manner, Detective Sergeant Chris Santiago, Detective Stephen Leone, Detective Ashley Tecito are awarded the department's Excellent Police Duty Award. Congratulations. Daddy. Detective Stephen Leone, if you could hang out with me a moment. Come on back. On August 14th, 2022, at approximately 2:30 a.m., Officer Brendan Bellis was flagged down by a taxi driver who stated four young adults exited his vehicle on Washington Street without paying, assaulted him, and stole his cell phone from the front dash of his vehicle. The males eventually ran in different directions, and the cab driver lost sight of them. Tuckahoe police units obtained a description of the people involved and would canvass the area with negative results. Detective Leone was advised of the incident and would begin an investigation. Detective Leone would meet with the driver and learn that the four male occupants appeared to be setting up the driver to be robbed. This would include an accomplice, a fifth male, who would haggle the driver for cash in hopes that he would provide his wallet. When the driver refused to produce any cash, he attempted to pull away and was struck in the face through an open window, and another male reached in and took his cell phone. Detective Leone would discover days after the incident that the taxi driver's Cash App account had multiple unknown cash transfers for hundreds of dollars, likely conducted by the suspects who possessed a stolen cell phone. Detective Leone obtained information on the accounts that received the money transfer. Further, he would review significant amount of video surveillance throughout the Tuckahoe Housing Authority, which provided visuals of the encounter as well as some still images of the faces of those involved. This would later reveal the identity of multiple suspects. Additionally, a trace of the unauthorized money transfer on the Cash App returned to be a resident of Tuckahoe. After a lengthy investigation, all individuals involved in the robbery were identified and consequently charged. For his persistence and attention to detail and performance of routine police duties in an outstanding and efficient manner, Detective Stephen Leone is awarded the department's Excellent Police Duty Award. Congratulations. I'd now like to ask Lieutenant Rhoda come up for a couple more awards.
Good evening, everybody. First, we're going to start off with the 2021 Officer of the Year, because we weren't able to have the event last year. Actually, we did have the event, however, we weren't able to name the 2021 Officer of the Year, so we're going to name him tonight. The 2021 Officer of the Year is Brian Madden. Please come up. The 2021 Officer of the Year award goes to Brian Madden. Brian has been with the department since 2018. He was born and raised in the village and graduated Tuckahoe High School and attended SUNY Cortland for his bachelor's degree. P.O. Madden is a dedicated police officer who comes to work every day with a smile on his face, looking to help citizens in any way he can. Brian exemplifies one of the main foundations of this department, which is community policing. P.O. Madden continuously strives to enhance his career through training and development. Some of his accolades and his training and the units that he's on is as follows. He's a member of the following units. He's a youth officer, a DARE instructor at the Tuckahoe schools, instructs the Explorer program, is part of the bicycle unit, the emergency response unit, and he's also attended community resource officer training. Brian, thank you for your dedicated hard work to this department, and congratulations. Okay, the 2022 Officer of the Year, Officer Peter Costa, please come up. The 2022 Officer of the Year goes to P.O. Peter Costa. He's been with the department since 2019, homegrown in Tuckahoe. He went to Tuckahoe High School and graduated, and also attended WCC College. P.O. Costa is a dedicated police officer, comes to work every day as well with a smile on his face. As you can see, we created a culture here. He looks to help and interact with the citizens in every way he can at any moment. He just is there to help you. When driving around or walking through the village, you also often see Peter stopping, talking with citizens or the youth. Peter's personality is contagious, and his desire to help residents of this village any way he can, day in, day out, is an amazing feature, and he's only going to get better with the years that come here, and we are very, very lucky to have him. He always is taking classes and strives to enhance his career through training and development. He's one of the top producing officers in the department. He shares his knowledge and training to the new hire police officers, takes them under his wing. He's a member of the following units: the Traffic Safety Unit, Police Motorcycle Unit, Car Seat Unit, Bicycle Unit, and he's attended any training that we've asked him to throughout his career. He comes to all the events, and he's always looking to help. I first met Peter when I had moved in, and I remember this clearly. He was a senior in high school, maybe 11th grade. I'd see him walk into the football practice, and we were looking for a PEO at the time. I said, I knew he had an interest in law enforcement. So I said, Peter, you ever want to be a parking officer, or you want to come down and see what it's about? And that's where it all began. He was a parking officer here for numerous years, and we saw his personality, the way he treats people. It's not an easy job, and the way he interacts with people who are not happy when you give him a ticket. So we knew we had something special in Peter. Transitions that he wanted to become a police officer so much, he did what he had to do, and he got hired here. And we're very lucky to have him. So thank you for all your dedicated hard work, Peter. The next award goes to a unit citation. Each year we award the unit a citation. The officer of the year, the unit citation officer this year is going to be Amelia Yankowski, detective. So the definition of unit citation may be awarded to a member who exhibited exceptional professional skill and conduct during a coordinated law enforcement initiative. This year's citation goes to the accreditation unit, which Detective Amelia Yankowski is in charge of. Just to give you a little background regarding accreditation, it's a program that is designed in a progressive way to aid police departments in evaluating and improving its overall performance. It provides a formal recognition that an accredited agency meets or exceeds general expectations of quality of service. It's comprised of 110 standards divided into 3 categories: administrative, training, and operations. The program is voluntarily, and only about 33% of police agencies actually achieve this award and certification. The professional accomplishment is a team effort and verifies our department represents the highest standards of police services. Detective Yankowski has been assigned to the Tuckahoe Police Department Accreditation Unit for over 10 years. In June of 2022, our agency successfully met with New York State Department of Criminal Justice standards and successfully was reaccredited, which is an amazing accomplishment. The strenuous process occurs every 5 years. However, the preparation is ongoing and never ending. So when we see Detective Yankowski walking around, and we know she's going to want something from us, whether it be part of a policy or anything that has to do with accreditation, she's always asking us for stuff. She maintains over 100 police standards and provides countless documentation to be sure our agency is following necessary procedures and protocols. Emily's meticulous work ethic and dedication to the program is truly an asset to this department. Thank you, Detective Yankowski, and congratulations. Okay, at this time, I'd like to invite Mayor O'Mara Andino up to the microphone.
So I won't repeat what everyone has already said, but as you can see, we have such an exemplary police department. And, you know, when Lieutenant Rhoda was talking about the accreditation, I got a chance to meet with the director of the accreditation organization. And the officer that I spoke to talked about how he accredits so many police departments. And he said, and ours was really second to none. So just credit to the chief and our lieutenants and the entire department. I'm so proud to be the mayor in the village of Tuckahoe because you can't find a better department. They're not just police officers, they're doctors, they save lives, they deliver babies, and they always do so with compassion, with accountability, and with professionalism. So thank you all. I salute you today. But I do have to say that this doesn't happen by chance. There has to be leadership to promote a culture of accountability and compassion. And to your point, Larry, where officers, every time I see them, they're smiling. I watch them when they don't know they're being watched, and I see how they interact with people who are having challenges day to day, and they always do so with compassion and with a mindset to diffuse situations and not have them escalate. The other thing that is important to note is that only 33% of departments are accredited in the state. Am I correct, Chief? And our department is one of those departments. So for that, I think they deserve a big hand. So I was unable to make the ceremony on Saturday because I wasn't feeling well. And I learned that the chief let the cat out the bag, that would be his last ceremony. And so that also reminded me that this would be his final award ceremony, and it was bittersweet. I'm happy that he is going to pursue other things in life, I think. But I'm saddened that, all of the work that he's done here now, he's moving on, and he's leaving the department in great hands. But I think that for every award that was given here, it's really on the shoulders of you, Chief. And so I want us to also acknowledge our Chief of Police with the Lifetime Achievement and Service Award. So I'd like the board to come up and share in this. Trustee Engelbert wasn't able to make it today, but Chief, the Village of Tuckahoe and the Tuckahoe Police Department are honored to present you with the Lifetime Achievement and Service Award for your leadership, dedication, and service as the Chief of Police in the Village of Tuckahoe for the past 20 years. The Chief has been in the department for 40+ years, but he's been the Chief for 20 years. His exemplary work has greatly enhanced the operation of the department, as you've heard tonight, and under your direction, the department is held as a model for community policing, Chief. So don't make me cry.
This is very moving and a big.
I'm sorry, Chief. This doesn't happen on its own, and I really have to acknowledge Donna Costanzo and ask her to come and stand with her husband, because for 40 years she has put up with this, and so she deserves this as much as anybody.
Thank you, Mayor, members of the board. This is really quite an honor and a big surprise. Thank you to all the members of the police department for their ongoing loyalty and support of me. This really is something that I will always treasure. Just the other day when I announced that at the memorial that these were my last, different functions, I talked about the torch run, how meaningful that was for me to run for the last time this past year. I started doing that the first year they did it in Westchester in 1986, and all these years later, I'm able to. Some of the young guys had to carry me across the finish line, but I ran in it. All of these events, the memorial, which is so meaningful to me, and of course, the award ceremony, which is really a reflection on the men and women the past 20 years in Tuckahoe Police Department who perform in such extraordinary ways. So really, this is shared with every single member that has worked for me and has been extremely dedicated to this department for the past 20 years. So I thank the board. One just last comment, and it was coming to mind as the mayor spoke, and made me think of, like Derek Jeter and Mariano Rivera as they made the final rounds around the different stadiums, and how when they played on a ball field for the last time, how they tried to savor that and soak it all in. But I also remember they were given cars and jewelry and stuff like that. So I will treasure this plaque and this for the rest of my life, and I'll be looking for the car in the parking lot. Thank you, everybody. So let's dismiss everybody.
I'll do a quick wrap up. Thank you for everyone for coming. That concludes this evening's award ceremony. I'd like to thank our elected officials, friends and family of the Tuckahoe Police Department for joining us. And I'd personally like to wish and express my appreciation for the outstanding professional services our officers have displayed, not only for the events mentioned this evening, but on a daily basis. We're all very proud of you, and thank you so much. We welcome all of our friends and family to join us outside for some refreshments in the hallway. Thank you very much.